So we'll continue our off-season series for the Ontario Hockey League teams that are no longer in the playoff picture, and we're going to take a look now at the Sarnia Sting. And for Sarnia, there were points in the regular season where it seemed as though it'd be a sure thing this team would make the playoffs, although a little on the younger side, and it was a lot of their rookies that made contributions up front and giving this team a fighting chance at points during the regular season. But this team ultimately falling short 2 points out of the final playoff spot in the Western Conference standings. We nearly had a playoff game to decide who would get that eighth and final playoff seed in the West, but the Sarnia Sting dropping their last few games, taking them out of contention. And that's where we look at it. To start, they had a record of 22-33, 6-7, good for 57 points, which is an improvement from the season before. In 23-24, they ended with 54 points and we're 9 points out of the final playoff spot in the Western Conference standings. So you see there, year over year, there has been some improvement, which is what you want to see when your team is going through a rebuild, such as the Sarnia Sting, because back in 22-23, it was their best season in franchise history. That's where they had 91 points and went all the way to the Western Conference final, ended up losing in 6 games to the London Knights. That was the first and only time that Sarnia has made it that far in the postseason. And we knew that this team would go through some growing pains after acquiring some big pieces at the OHL trade deadline that year. But I think for Sarnia's fans, we started to see a little bit of impatience this year with some of that frustration towards Letang. And you got to wonder going into next year if there's any sort of lengthy losing streaks like we saw this past season. Is Letang's job on the line? But we'll have to wait and see on that front. But 22-23, what an outstanding run that was for the Sarnia Sting, and they want to get back to that contender status, as soon as possible. And before that, in 21-22, they only had 59 points, and they were knocked out in the first round of the playoffs by the Windsor Spitfires. So that just goes to show that that one season, the 2023 playoffs, a bit of an anomaly for the Sarnia Sting. So looking back over their last 4 seasons, 59 points, 91 points, 54 points, and now 57 points. And you got to figure the only way up, it's up from here for the Sarnia Sting, or at least you would assume. Now, looking at the top 10 scores from last season, Zach Filak led the way, 14 goals, 34 assists, 48 points. Beckham Edwards, the rookie forward who joined the team late, what a season he had. 25 goals, 20 assists, 45 points. Cannot wait to see what Beckham Edwards can do for his second season in the Ontario Hockey League. And then in third was Mitch Young, the defenseman, 8 goals, 37 assists, 45 points. There were some who wondered if Mitch Young would have been moved at the OHL trade deadline, but the Sarnia Sting staying pretty quiet at the deadline and keeping Mitch Young, who I think could be a key player going into this upcoming season. And then Easton Wainwright, fourth in scoring, 16 goals, 28 assists, 44 points. Ryan Brown, he had 16 goals, 25 assists, 41 points. In sixth in scoring, Alessandro Diorio, the rookie, he had 11 goals, 27 assists, 38 points. Expect him to have a big boost next season for the Sarnia Sting. And then we had Lucas Fisher. He was seventh in scoring, 15 goals, 22 assists, 37 points. Tyson Doucette, eighth in scoring, 20 goals, 16 assists, 36 points. And then a pair of rookies rounding out the top 10. Ruslan Kurmirov, 15 goals, 14 assists, 29 points. And then Liam Beamish, another exciting forward, 14 goals, 15 assists, 29 points. So 4 out of the top 10 scorers on the Sarnia Sting team, rookies. And I think that's very encouraging going forward for the Sarnia Sting into this upcoming season. And you add that they had the 4th overall pick in the 2024 OHL priority selection, and they went with Brennan Lamons. And going into the draft, didn't hear too much about Lamons, but looking at his size, you could see why they wanted the left winger in the OHL draft. I think he's going to be quite the player coming over for the Sarnia Sting. Played last year at the Toronto Junior Red Wings, 17 goals, 19 assists, 36 points in 26 games. So he's a point per game, but we'll see what he brings for this young Sarnia team, which I think Lamons, he's going to fit in quite well. At the time of recording, has not yet signed a commitment to the Sarnia Sting, but all indications are that we should see him as a member of the Sting come September. Now, for the OA candidates, they do have a few options here. They have 3 forwards to choose from. Easton Wainwright, I think that's a shoo-in that you want to keep Wainwright as one of your overagers. JJ Franceschi, he was added late. And then you have Dalen Moses, of course, acquired from the Sioux Greyhounds. So I think Wainwright Moses, strong considerations as OAs for the Sarnia Sting next season. And then on the blue line, Mitch Young and Jack O'Brien. O'Brien, of course, signed as a free agent with the Sarnia Sting. So looking at the five, you would think that Wainwright, Moses, and Young would be the overagers for next season. But of course, things can change between now and the start of the 25-26 regular season with trades and whatnot. But I think the Sarnia Sting, they're in a good position here. And I would think that making the playoffs would have been a good experience last year for Sarnia. But this team looks primed, I think, for a good season. I don't think they win the West Division, but they should make things interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if they're challenging for home ice advantage, maybe pushing for maybe as high as third or fourth in the Western Conference standings next season, just with the talent on this team. Goaltending might be a bit of a question mark. We'll have to wait and see who gets the start and goal for the Sarnia Sting. But I really do like the look of the Sarnia team. Even at times last season, there was a few points there where you could see the signs that, yes, this is going to be a Sarnia team that could make some noise in the future. It was just the growing pains and learning and the adversity with a couple of big losing streaks during the course of the regular season. But if this team can get that consistency and that offense can click like we know that they can, Sarnia will make things interesting next season. And that's why I'm predicting they'll probably be challenging for home ice come playoff time. Not necessarily first in the division, although you never know. No one really thought the Windsor Spitfires would be that team that would win the West Division this past season. But I would think for the Sarnia Sting, aiming for third or fourth might be something to look forward to if you're a Sarnia Sting fan. So that's how I see it here. If you're a fan of the Sting, what are your expectations going into next season? Do you think this is a team that could challenge for the division? Or maybe should we hold off a little bit on some of these expectations? Love the interactions. Thank you very much for your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon.